what's up? You know what one of my favorite movies is? Mad Max Fury Road. It's an intense, thrilling action film set in a dystopian, post-apocalyptic future, all about a group of rebels trying to get from one place to another while fighting the foot soldiers of a tyrannical dictator. It's fast-paced, non-stop action, but also surprisingly intelligent with the presentation of its themes. I love it. You know what another one of my favorite movies is? Snowpiercer. It's an intense, thrilling action film set in a dystopian, post-apocalyptic future, all about a group of rebels trying to get from one place to another while fighting the foot soldiers of a tyrannical dictator. It's fast-paced, non-stop action, but also surprisingly intelligent with the presentation of its themes. I love it. You see the thing I did there? You see what I did there? See, I did a little thing. I did a little sneaky little thing. I did a little sneaky little thing because I'm a sneaky little guy. You like that? You like that when I'm a sneaky little guy? So I've seen plenty of discussion and analysis of these films, but I've never observed anyone pointing out the many ways that they parallel each other. Because when you've watched these movies as many times as I have, you recognize not only their similarities, but the crucial ways in which they're different. George Miller's Fury Road and Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer tell similar stories, but with diametrically opposed thematic messages. And, I want to talk about that here on this channel, this YouTube channel. That's mine, that I've just now created for this purpose, to talk about movies. Welcome. So let's talk about how these movies are similar. Spoilers from here on out. But really, if you haven't seen either of these movies, what are you doing? Masterpieces, both of them. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah, Parasite rules, but this is the film Bong Joon-ho should have gotten the Oscar for. I will not back down from this opinion. I do not back down from opinions when I am right. Both films are set in the aftermath of environmental disaster. They actually started in almost exactly the same way, with text, voiceover on a black screen, and stock footage giving the rundown on why the world went to a big pile of shit. In Fury Road, all the water dried up, the planet became a desert hellscape. In Snowpiercer, the governments of the world attempted to stop that from happening, and ended up freezing the world instead. So in Fury Road, the remaining people live in isolated settlements or else roam the endless wasteland. In Snowpiercer, every last living human being lives on a single train that endlessly circles the world. Neither of these worlds are nice places to live. The region of Australia where Fury Road takes place is ruled by a despot named Immortan Joe, who's in charge because he controls access to one of their few remaining sources of water. The titular Snowpiercer train was invented and is owned and operated by a guy named Wilford, who runs it as his own private kingdom. Immediately, we see how these states are oppressive and defined by extreme inequality. But more specifically, both films take care to express the way that Joe's Citadel and Wilford's train are fundamentally rooted in exploitation of human beings as resources. All of the protagonists of Fury Road are struggling to escape from a world in which they are treated not as people, but as a source of value that can be extracted. For our main character, Max, that value is his blood. For the wives of Joe, whose escape attempt kicks off the plot, their value is their beauty and their functional wombs. And for Nux, one of Joe's war boys, the value is his body. He's meat for a war machine and brainwashed to like it. In our brief look at the Citadel, we see people used for physical labor to run the machines, and in a particularly memorable moment, we get to see that certain women are hooked up to devices that continually pump out their breast milk. Someone was into that. The world of Fury Road is defined by control of resources. Water, gasoline, and bullets, but people most of all. Snowpiercer shows us a similar world. The movie begins in the tail section of the train, which is shown to be overcrowded, underfed, and neglected. But Wilford and the privileged class at the front section nonetheless keep them alive for a specific reason. Every now and then, they harvest one or more of them for some purpose. Early in the film, someone in the front section desires a violinist, so a tail sectioner is dragged to the front. And of course, the primary plot is kicked off by the front section harvesting 2 children for a reason that doesn't become clear until the end of the film. Wilford needs them to replace parts of the engine that have failed. He has them drugged up and squeezed into tiny spaces to perform repetitive tasks until they die, at which point he will presumably harvest more for the tail section. Both films show us how these exploitative systems are upheld through violence as well as cultish devotion to their leader. Joe and Wilford present themselves as gods whose beneficence brings order and provides sustenance in a dying world. Both hold power because they control a resource critical to life. In Joe's case, water. In Wilford's case, the train. And they can dispense or hold back that resource as they choose. They have fanatically loyal armies who are kept in line by being treated just a bit better than the people at the bottom of the ladder who it is their job to crush. And they have inner circles who enjoy lives of luxury at the expense of human exploitation. Hey, hold on. Is this another one of those video essays that turns out to be about capitalism? Yes. So, both Fury Road and Snowpiercer are set in hellish dystopias built on exploitation and suffering, and our protagonists are brave rebels who defy this system. But here's where we come to the crucial difference. Here's the thing that makes these films shadows of each other rather than replications. And that thing is that in Fury Road, the world is too hot, and in Snowpiercer, the world is too cold. Thanks for watching my channel, everyone. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell icon, follow me. No, I'm just goofing around. The real difference is in the motivation of the protagonists, the plot and character arcs these motivations set them on, and the concluding presentation of what each of these films says about existence in an unjust society. So, Fury Road's plot is kicked off when Imperator Furiosa, one of Joe's top enforcers, steals his war rig and abandons the Citadel, bringing with her Joe's 5 wives. Their goal is to escape the part of the world that's under Joe's control and reach the Green Place, a land that Furiosa remembers from her childhood as being beautiful, lush, and run by a benevolent matriarchy of many mothers, as opposed to Joe's patriarchal autocracy. Max eventually joins them on their journey to this Green Place, and so does Nux after he's had a change of heart. The primary objective of Fury Road's protagonist is escape. They want to leave Joe's world behind them and find safety and freedom in another world entirely. A world where their worth as humans is respected. And most of the film is a big, crazy chase through the desert as Joe's army pursues them, attempting to stop them from escaping to that world. And there's all sorts of twists and turns and action and tragedy along that path, and it's a crazy fun ride. But then, something funny happens at the end of the second act. Our good guys succeed. They manage to slow down Joe's army to such a degree that the bad guys basically give up the chase, and so they get away. Max and Nux are now solid members of the team, and it looks like it's a clear road to the Green Place. Except there's no Green Place. Whoops. Or that's not totally fair. There was, once, maybe. But it all dried up and went sour, and there's nothing left but a gang of old ladies on bikes living in the desert. And rather than being the benevolent matriarchs that Furiosa remembers, these old ladies aren't all that much better than any of the other desert scavengers. They prey on people just like anyone else. They just have the decency to occasionally have a touch of self-awareness about it. So Furiosa and the gang have a decision to make as to what to do next. And at first, their decision is basically to just keep going until they do find a Green Place. They load up their bikes with fuel and repair across an even more desolate expanse of nothingness, with only the hope that there's something better at the other end. But then our boy Max goes, "No, that's a stupid idea. Here's what we should do instead. We don't know that there's anything green out that way, but we do know there's something green back where we came from. All we have to do is kick Joe's fat ass off it. Let's race him back to the Citadel, get there first, and take it for ourselves." And everyone goes, "Yeah, that is a better idea," and so they do that. And there's a great big final showdown with Joe's army. Joe gets his face ripped off, Nux heroically sacrifices himself, Furiosa gets mortally wounded by a surprisingly competent henchman, and Max donates some of his blood to save her. The final scene of the film has our heroes returning to the Citadel bearing Joe's corpse.
And there was much rejoicing.
The people of the Citadel celebrate Joe's death, the milk ladies turn on the big water spout so everyone can have it, Joe's goons yield to public pressure to let the good guys into the Citadel, and everyone hails their new just and good leader, Furiosa. It kind of operates on Wizard of Oz logic.
You killed her. Hail the
Furiosa. But who's complaining? I'm not. The movie rocks. So, we see now how Fury Road presents that good old touchstone of storytelling wisdom. Want versus need. The heroes want to escape from their unjust world, but what they come to learn is that they can't count on there being somewhere better off waiting for them. What they need is to fight for the world they have, to overthrow the corrupt powers that be, and to put the resources in the hands of just and generous people instead of greedy perverts like Joe. The ending of the film is an unambiguous victory, and we get the sense that everything's going to be better off from now on, even if most of the world still sucks ass. Cool, we all like that, right? Cool? We all think that's cool? Cool. But let's see how Snowpiercer addresses some of those same ideas. First off, one thing Snowpiercer makes clear from right off the bat is that escape is not possible. If you leave the train, you freeze to death. Period. These idiots tried that, look how it worked out. So running away just isn't an option for our hero Curtis and his ragtag band of rebels. The only way they're going to get any shot at a better deal for themselves is to take the system down. Their objective, right from the beginning, is revolution. They aim to seize control of the engine, guillotine Wilford, and dictate new terms for society. Power to the people. Like Fury Road, the path to this goal is a crazy fun ride. Tons of action, twists and turns and tragedies, new allies and enemies, a weird bit with a fish, lots of good stuff as they fight their way through Wilford's goons and draw nearer and nearer to the front section. But then, something funny happens at the end of the second act. Something funny always happens at the end of the second act. That's pretty much basic storytelling structure. This time, the funny thing that happens is that almost all our heroes get killed. The tail section gets retaken by the bad guys, and it's up to just Curtis and his two fair-weather allies to get to the engine and kick Wilford's ass. But even that doesn't quite work out. Wilford gladly welcomes Curtis into the engine, offers him some steak, and explains that the entire revolution was part of a master plan to cull the numbers of the tail section. And what's worse, Curtis's mentor Gilliam was in on it the whole time. Wilford then pulls a Willy Wonka and says that he wants to give the train to Curtis, because he thinks Curtis has the right stuff to run it. So, interesting kind of thing there, right? What Wilford is offering Curtis is, well, exactly what he wanted. It's exactly how Fury Road ends happily. The resources are put in the hands of a character we know to be decent and honorable, who wants to do the right thing. Surely Curtis would be a better ruler than Wilford, right? Right? I mean, he ate a few babies in the past, but that's all behind him now. Now he's anti-eating babies. But here's the thing. Snowpiercer makes the case that there isn't really a better way to run things than how Wilford's been doing it. The train, as is stated again and again, is a closed ecosystem that requires an exceptionally delicate balance to keep it working. We see how even the front section passengers can only eat fish once a year because the system simply can't produce more, just like they simply can't produce enough food for everyone to eat the good stuff that the front section passengers get instead of the bug bars the tail section gets. The bad guys in the film like to say that everyone has their preordained position, and they do this weird, twisty hand motion every time they do it. It's symbolic or something. And in this case, they're kind of right. It's pretty terrible to drug children and use them as replacement engine parts until they die. I don't think that's too controversial a statement, is it? But those engine parts simply can't be replaced, and if that function of the engine doesn't work, everybody dies. So if the train needs to keep running, and it does, it needs children. Now, maybe Curtis has read his Marx. Maybe he reorganizes train society so that there's no front section and no tail section, everyone gets the same distribution of bug bars to real food, and children get taken from the general population, not just the lower class. But shit, is that the best we can hope for? That on this train with limited resources, we can spread them out a bit more fairly and ensure that everyone is oppressed equally? Fury Road doesn't address this question. It kind of takes it as a given that if a good person like Furiosa controls the water, then everyone will get enough water. And all that human exploitation to keep the wheels turning? Surely she won't keep that system running. But then, who turns the wheels? So, what's the solution here? Even if Curtis succeeds in his revolution and rules the train, he'll have to make the exact same choices Wilford did. But what else can he do? Derail the train, blow up society, and allow the few survivors to make their way in a frozen and dead world? That's exactly how Snowpiercer ends. Curtis and his allies set off a bomb in the engine and blow open a hole in the train. The explosion triggers an avalanche that derails the train and kills pretty much everybody. The only survivors we see are these two, a teenage girl and a little boy, climbing out of the train and facing the world. And we get a final lingering shot of a polar bear to inform us that yes, actually, despite what we've been told, it is technically possible to survive in this world. If you're a polar bear. It would be pretty hard to call this a happy ending, but it's nonetheless an ending that makes a strong statement on the film's themes. Our heroes want to take over society so they can run it more fairly, but they learn that society as it is simply cannot be fixed, even with the best of intentions. Like the engineering of a train, it was built that way. What they need is to blow the whole damn thing to hell and start over with whatever's left. That's a pretty strong statement, and a much grimmer one than Fury Road's considerably rosier message that we can fix society if we're good people and we give it our all. Snowpiercer is overall a grimmer movie than Fury Road. Its message resonates throughout the contrasting characters and story beats between the two films. Redemption is a strong theme in Fury Road. Max has given up on helping anyone but himself, Furiosa has done horrible things while working for Joe, and Nux is one of Joe's fanatic foot soldiers. The old ladies are implied to have done some heinous shit as well, but the film offers all of them redemption, through their ability to recognize the humanity in each other, and to fight for a better world. There's little to no redemption in Snowpiercer. The closest equivalent to Nux is the fanatically loyal Minister Mason, who halfway through the film gets captured by the good guys and dragged with them on their journey. But what ultimately happens to her? Our hero gets pissed off and executes her because of something she had no control over. Namgung and Yona are a pair of former front sectioners who get shanghaied into aiding the revolution, but they never buy into the cause, and it's ultimately Namgung who comes up with a plan to blow up the train. Instead of a character on a redemptive arc, we get Gilliam, who we are led to believe is the wise and noble spiritual leader of the Tail Section people, and you trust him because he's played by John Hurt, but he's been backstabbing them all along. Rather than Max's journey to reconnect with other people, or Furiosa's journey to make amends for her past, we get Curtis coming this close to becoming a dictator, and ultimately deciding that his people might as well be dead if they can't escape their oppression. Just look at how the citizens of the Citadel are portrayed compared to the citizens of the front section. The Citadel people are shown to be eager to cast off Joe's shackles. Our hero's victory is also a liberation for them. But Snowpiercer never once shows the front sectioners as anything but freaks. People too thoroughly corrupted by their privileged place in society to even be worth moral consideration. Your movie's good guys can't kill a pregnant woman unless you have firmly established that she's bad through and through and her baby would be more of the same. Fury Road ends with most of the good guys surviving, and those that didn't sacrificing themselves for a noble cause, and justice restored to the world. Snowpiercer ends with everybody dead except for two characters who are very likely to freeze to death, starve, or be eaten by a polar bear. And yet, it does feel as though justice has been restored. The society within the train was so sick and corrupt that the whole thing deserved to die. It's a brighter future with two children struggling for survival in the wild than a continual existence in the depraved perversity of Wilfred's world. Escape into the empty expanse of nothingness, with little hope and no guarantees, is presented as the lesser choice in Fury Road, but the better choice in Snowpiercer. Ultimately, it's kind of fascinating how thoroughly these films mirror and contrast each other. Both movies are fundamentally based on motion, the struggle to get from one place to another, but the motion is in opposite directions. Away from society versus toward the center of it. The themes presented and the outlooks are diametrically opposed. One offers a hopeful vision even in a seemingly hopeless world, where if we recognize each other's humanity and do our best, even the post-apocalypse can be made better. And the other offers a thoroughly hopeless look at a society that cannot be saved. It's too sick. It needs to be put out of its misery. Both these films are quite well regarded by critics and audiences alike. But it's no surprise that Fury Road is by far the more popular and influential. Special note, Snowpiercer was also less popular because Harvey Weinstein gave it a limited release out of spite for not being able to edit it how he wanted. God, that guy sucked. The vision of Snowpiercer, though fascinating, is bleak and cruel. I love both these movies, but I definitely enjoy watching Fury Road more. That's probably the way it's always gonna be. Audiences prefer happy endings. And as a society, we need happy endings. We need to believe that our messed up world can get better. Fury Road kicks ass, and it bears a positive message about fighting for change. But I'm happy that a film like Snowpiercer can exist as well. A film that asks uncomfortable questions like, what if we can't fix society? What if we're better off abandoning the whole thing? I don't like thinking about those questions, and personally, Fury Road's vision resonates more with me. But I'm happy that talented artists can put those questions out there. Art is more interesting that way. So, this is my channel. I'm starting it up because I wanted to talk about movies and TV on the internet, and I'm pretty sure no one's ever done that before. Right? Right? So do all the things you know will help. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, recommend me to a friend. If you're an opinion writer for the New York Times, write an article about how I'm the voice of a new generation. If you're Joe Biden, give a speech to the press about how every American should subscribe to my channel. Yeah, that all seems reasonable. Bye.